And then I went and saw what everybody was looking forward to this weekend, and that is Deadpool. Holy shit, I want to mention this. I have not seen the movie theater this packed since Star Wars. That should tell you something about how pretty successful this movie was. Everybody was at Deadpool. I walked into the theater, and it was, for the first time in like years, a completely crowded, sold out theater. To the point that like people kept coming in and more people kept coming in, and I thought they would have to turn them away because even though they bought tickets, because there was like no seats. I could not see a damn seat. They put it not in the biggest theater. I was like, really? Should I think you try to put them in the bigger theaters for this, if this movie's going to do as well as it's saying, or they're saying it's gonna. Full disclosure, if you don't know me, I have never read. I'm not a big comic books fan, and never have been. I love the movie. I love comic book movies, but I never have. And because of that, I never knew anything about Deadpool until people started telling me about him. And my first introduction to him was really X-Men Origins Wolverine. I know that's a bad way to be introduced to him, but and I remember watching X-Men Origins Wolverine, not being pissed off about what they did with him until everybody told me about it. I'm like, man, I can tell. Like, once people told me what his character was, I was like, okay, I can see why everybody's pissed off. And I from what I was told about this character, like, everybody was telling me how great this character was and how there should be a movie about him. And then Ryan Reynolds was trying to get this project off the ground, and for a long time, and he finally did. And the hype behind this movie has been immense. Like I said, I haven't seen the theater this packed. I've been hearing about this movie for like months now, been hyped to death. This movie's been hyped to death, like more than Star Wars, almost as much as Star Wars, honestly. I'm not making that up. Like, I swear to God, I was at a funeral, and it was a funeral of my uncle, and I had somebody come up to me, and they knew I watched movies and stuff. They're like, sorry for the loss. They're like, what do you think about that new Deadpool movie? And I'm like, really? In front of a fucking funeral, you're asking me about Deadpool? And then they told me how they were looking for the Suicide Squad too. This is a family member, by the way, that told me this. But anyways, I'm like, that's really fucking weird. Why does everybody keep talking about this movie? But so I was like kind of hyped because of like what people were telling me about this character. It's like, I hope this movie's as good as everybody's telling me, making this character out to be. I'll tell you this right now. I hope the character is as awesome as this movie was, because I love this movie. This movie was night and day from Zoolander 2. Oh my god, if Zoolander 2 was a shitty, not a very good comedy, this was Gone with the fuck, or this was Godfather compared to that piece of shit. Because this movie is fantastic. I laughed so much in this movie. Everybody that was in the theater was cracking up. This movie, there was a rare moment where people weren't cracking up in this thing. Ryan Reynolds is having the time of his life in this. This is the role he was, I think, just made, like, born for. And I'm glad he stuck around and still, for all the production troubles this movie had, and stuck with this, and stayed on this project for all these years, because I mean, I couldn't imagine anybody else doing this. He is the only guy who could pull this character. If this character was given to the wrong person, because it could have been done wrong, because like, he's a cocky asshole, and he is an asshole, by all means, this Wade Wilson character. But because Ryan Reynolds is so fucking charming, you like this guy, and he's easy to root for. He is kind of a psychopath too, but he's a really funny one at that. He has a heart of gold almost a little bit. Ryan Reynolds, like I said, Ryan Reynolds is having a time of his life with this movie, and This is a movie that's gonna be very hard to review because I don't want to spoil much of it. This movie, the fourth wall, when it comes to like fourth wall jokes, breaking fourth wall jokes, that can be a detriment to to movies if done wrong. But this movie does it completely right. There are so many jokes in this movie. It's just fast paced, like non-stop jokes that like just keep coming at you. Like I swear I probably missed a million of them. There's probably a bunch I missed. There is jokes about Green Lantern. There's jokes about Ryan Reynolds being the most handsome man. There's jokes about Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine. There's a great line. There's a couple great lines. I was hoping I knew they would address that because I mean, if they're gonna make a movie where he's gonna break the fourth wall, you have to address that. And there's a line where he says, "Well, shit has gone sideways, but it's been worse." And they cut to an action figure of Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. That made me laugh really fucking hard. Everybody did. And then there's the line where he said, this wasn't in the trailer, but he was the guy who's the doctor or the villain in the movie that was injecting him with stuff. Who was a great villain, by the way. I forgot to mention that. He was an awesome villain. I liked him in this movie. I thought the villain was really good. He was a really threatening villain. Like, those scenes where he's doing the experiment on Wade Wilson's pretty disturbing, honestly. Those scenes were really hard to watch. This movie is a very hard R. I'll talk about that in a second more here. And yeah, like he's experimenting on Ryan Reynolds, and he says, "If you don't be careful, I'll sew your mouth shut." He's like, and Ryan Reynolds goes, "Oh, I don't think you want to do that." Oh, that's pretty funny. Like, I was the only one kind of chuckled at that line. I mean, it was just a subtle, throwaway line. Because the whole movie's like that in this thing. This movie is a very, very hard R. Holy shit. I can't imagine if this movie, because I remember when this movie was being made that they were originally going to release it in PG-13, and then people were so up in arms that they ended up changing the radars so the fans would shut up. I can't imagine this movie being PG-13 and being any good. This movie is just violent as hell. There's a lot of sex. There's some weird sex in it. There's a lot of language, and this it's hilarious. Like, it fits in this, like, it fits this character. It fits, like, everything about this movie. Like, I had a blast watching this thing. It's really hard to, like, talk about this movie. Like, I don't want to spoil much of it, God damn it. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about without spoiling this thing. Talked about the villain. I talked about the experimentation. Also, the movie it has a heart to it. It does genuinely have a heart to it. The story of him and his girlfriend or his wife, as a fiance, and him wanting to redeem himself is actually a pretty decent story. It's a story that you've seen a million times before in a superhero movie, but it's done unconventionally enough that you kind of like. You can kind of forgive it. I remember when I saw the trailer, I was like, really? That's the story they're going for with this kind of character? But it's still unconventional in the way they do things. Like, the opening credits of this movie, I forgot to mention that. Opening credits of this movie are fucking hilarious. They probably got the biggest laughs. It's like, it's directed by an asshole who, or like, instead of putting the actual names of the actors, they would say a hot guy and show a picture of Ryan Reynolds in People magazine, and it's a hot girl, a British villain, and then it says directed by an asshole who's paid way too much or something like that. And that's pretty fucking hilarious. It's like it doesn't actually put any actual names in the opening credits. And they're playing that song. What is that song? That song, like, all this past tonight, I saw a lot of good movies with just fucking amazing soundtrack and some really good songs played. This movie had some really good songs in it. What was that song? God damn it. Wings of an Angel or something. I forget. Is it Wings of an Angel or something like? I forget what it's called. If somebody in the comments tell me I've heard that song. It's hilarious. It's a slow motion. The opening credit scene is a slow motion shot of a car rolling, and him giving a guy a wedgie. Him burning a guy with a cigarette lighter. It's all done in slow motion. It's fucking hilarious. It sets the tone easily for that movie. I'm really looking forward to, I hope they do, I know they got X-Men movies coming up. I hope they include him. But they might have to make those movies rated R if they want to include him. I guess that makes sense why they wouldn't. God damn it, because this isn't the same universe as X-Men, all the X-Men movies. Although it doesn't, it just kind of pretends that X-Men Origins never happened. So there you go. Although if you kind of, I guess with Days of Future Past, if this movie takes place in the same universe as Days of Future Past, I'm kind of certain that Origins never happened. So okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe that I guess you can. That's the way you can explain it. I like the fact that it mentions when he goes to the school, Xavier's school of the gifted or whatever, and it's only Colossus and that one girl has that fucking awesome name for a superhero. Even Deadpool points it out. I forget what her name was, but it's so fucking awesome. Answer the door, and he's like, "What? It's only you. It's weird. It's only you two that usually are here. It's like the studio couldn't afford another X-Men." That was kind of funny. That's kind of lines in the movie. And then also the post. I definitely recommend staying for the post credits. Because it's pretty hilarious. I had a feeling I knew what the post-credit scene was. It's not one of the, it's setting up a sequel and it's just a throwaway one where it just sets up a sequel. No, it stays true to the spirit of, the character, and if you know anything about movies, you should probably know where it's going to go, the end credits. I'm just going to say that. I knew instantly where they were going to go with it. And they kind of do mention the sequel. They're, before breaking the fourth wall, he mentions the sequel, which is supposedly being made, so thank God. And this movie's going to do very well. I highly doubt it won't. And so it was a packed house. Also, I wanted to mention that it's kind of funny. There was a few parents with their kids seeing this movie, which I found hilarious because when I was little, my mom would have took me to something like this too. So that, or my dad would have done the same. So that was hilarious seeing parents with their kids. I mean, as long as they know what they're getting themselves into, and they know this is not a stereotypical superhero movie. Yeah, I heard a couple of people a couple of parents telling their kids to cover their eyes during the sex scenes and stuff. Yeah, so I recommend this. Highly recommend it. If you're a Deadpool fan, you're gonna see this anyway. So why would you listen to me anyways? I got a shitload of trailers, so I want to get through these as quickly as possible. Damn it. I got Eddie the Eagle, a shorter trailer for that, because that was the only reason I think I got that was because it was being produced by Matthew Vaughn, who did X-Men or First Class and stuff. And this looks like it'd be funny. That movie does look like a pretty inspirational film. It's from that kid it has a kid that was in Kingsman, and he's playing a real life ski jumper who has I think a disability or something like that. It looks funny. I've talked about the trailer before. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. That's a weird title, but yeah, that's the title of the movie. It's Zac Efron and I don't know the name of the actor, but I've seen them in movies before. They're these two brothers. They're these every time family, they have family get-togethers, they just wreak havoc, and when they're together, and their parents tell them that if they're going to their sister's wedding, they have to have dates. So they get Aubrey Plaza and Anna Kendrick, who are just who are two crazy girls, just like they are two crazy guys, and clarity ensues. That's all I could say. I don't know. It doesn't look terrible. There was a couple jokes that I laughed at, but I was like, whatever. The Purge election year. Oh man, we're getting another Purge movie. I hated the first one. Loved the second one. So let's see how the third one goes. This one is it's election year, like the title says, and somebody's running for president or whatever wants to eliminate the Purge. So now, when the Purge happens, there's a setup where they're trying to kidnap and kill her, so it doesn't happen. She doesn't get rid of the Purge. So that could be fun. It has Frank Grillo back, so that's a big plus for me. Frank Grillo was amazing in the last one. He made that movie, so hopefully, it's one of those. I don't know why they keep making these movies, but I mean, all at the same time, this is one of those series. Like somebody said, you could easily come up with a bunch of stories, creative stories, with this setup for a horror movie. So we'll see. Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. I got the last trailer. That's going to be released. This is a shorter one. It doesn't show the whole goddamn movie like the last trailer did. It's at this point like they're trying to build suspense. Batman versus Superman are going to fight and all stuff like. But the last trailer showed that they eventually get together and fight Apocalypse. So, and there's more scenes of Wonder Woman. So yay! I'm gonna hold out hope. I don't have high hopes for that. All right. And oh god, I gotta talk about this last trailer. Oh my god, I got a trailer for this thing called Hardcore Henry. What the fuck was this? If you have not seen this trailer, go look it up now. Seriously, I'm not making it up. This is one of those films that is one of those experimental kind of films, in that it's doing a very different style of filmmaking that could go very badly or be really awesome. It's a movie that I can only describe as a guy wakes up and he's turned into RoboCop or Bionic Man or $6 Billion Man, and he is like super strength and super super fast or something like that. He's super strength. He fucking kill people with his bare hands. Has like a robotic arm, and a group of guys steal his girlfriend, and he's got to try to save her. But what makes this movie different than any other kind of film like that is that it's all from the point of view from the guy. It's all shot like from his point of view, or like you're seeing through his eyes, like what's going on. Like, so you're seeing like when he's shooting somebody, it looks like a video game, like a first person shooter. Yeah, it's one of those. Man, that's risky. A whole movie where that's gonna be like that, that's gonna be interesting. I was just reading that it's getting great reviews, so hopefully it's batshit insane. That trailer is batshit insane enough that it got my interest. Like, okay, I want to see this movie. This looks insane. And also, it's playing Queen's Mr. Fahrenheit during the trailer, which made me smile immensely because it's one of my favorite Queen songs. I love Queen. So I am sold on that. That trailer was amazing. That might be the best trailer of 2016 so far. That's as far as movies go. The reviews go and trailers go. I'll be back next week with what's next week? The Witch and Race. So there you go. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.